The hallway fell silent when Yuna walked in. She was used to attention, but not this kind. Every alien in the orientation hall stopped talking. They turned their strange eyes toward her and the two humans behind her. Yuna Park was 28 years old. She had spent 6 years in the Korean Special Forces before the Galactic Coalition found Earth. Now she stood in Station Helix 9, the most famous military academy in the known galaxy. She was one of the first 3 humans ever allowed to train here. Behind her, Kang Tae yawned. He was a tall man from Bizen with lazy eyes and quick hands. He had been an engineer before this. Beside him stood Nari Beek, a former paramedic with a smile that never seemed to fade. "They're staring," Kang whispered. "Let them," Yuna said. The aliens came in many shapes. Some had 4 arms. Some had scales. Some floated instead of walking. All of them looked at the humans like they were watching animals in a zoo. Yuna found 3 empty seats near the back. She sat down and waited. Kang pulled out a small bag of dried squid and started eating. Nari waved at a nervous-looking alien with blue skin and 4 arms. The alien quickly looked away. "Friendly place," Nari said cheerfully. A loud sound echoed through the hall. Everyone went quiet again. The main doors opened, and Instructor Velka walked in. She was terrifying. Velka stood 8 feet tall. Her body was covered in dark, shiny armor that was part of her skin. She had the shape of an insect, with long limbs and eyes that reflected light like broken glass. She moved without sound, which made her even more frightening. Velka reached the front of the hall and looked at the new cadets. Her gaze moved across the room until it found the humans. It stayed there. "Welcome to the academy," she said. Her voice was cold and sharp. "Many of you will fail. Some of you will break. A few of you might die. This is expected." No one spoke. No one breathed too loudly. "Tomorrow, you will face the survival gauntlet," Velka continued. "It is a simulation of Deathworld conditions. Extreme heat, toxic air, dangerous creatures, gravity shifts. It is designed to find your limits and crush them." Kang leaned toward Yuna. "Sounds like my military service," he whispered. Velka's head snapped toward him. "You, human, stand." Kang stood up slowly. He was still holding his dried squid. "I have read your species file," Velka said. "Humans come from a Class 4 death world. Many believe this makes you dangerous." She paused. The room was completely silent. "I do not believe this." She walked closer. Her legs made soft clicking sounds on the floor. "You have no claws. No venom, no armor. Your skin is thin. Your bones break easily. You cannot see in the dark. You cannot hear danger coming. You are slow. You are soft." She stopped in front of Kang. "You are food." Kang looked at her calmly. "Can I sit down now?" The aliens gasped. No one talked back to Velka. Velka stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned and walked back to the front. "Tomorrow, we will see what humans are truly made of," she said. "I expect they will be the first to fail. I expect them to cry and beg for extraction before the first hour ends. This is not cruelty. This is truth." She looked at Yuna. Yuna looked back without any expression. "The gauntlet has broken species far stronger than you," Velka said. "Prepare yourselves." Class dismissed. The aliens began leaving. Most of them hurried past the humans without making eye contact. But one alien stopped near their seats. It was the blue one with 4 arms that Nari had waved at earlier. He looked young and nervous. "I am Horus," he said quietly. "I wanted to say, I am sorry for how Velka spoke to you." "It's fine," Yuna said. "She's just doing her job." Horus blinked all 3 of his eyes. "You are not angry?" "No." "You are not scared?" "No." Oris looked confused.
But the gauntlet.
It is very dangerous. Many cadets do not survive the first round. The heat alone kills most cold-blooded species within minutes. Khan laughed softly.
How hot does it get?
45 degrees, Oris said. Sometimes higher. The three humans looked at each other. Then Kang went back to eating his squid.
That's it? Nari asked. What do you mean?
Oris said. Korean summer is almost that hot, Yuna explained. And more humid. Oris stared at them. He clearly did not understand.
We will be fine, Yuna said.
She stood up and stretched.
Is there a cafeteria here?
I want to find something to eat before tomorrow.
You are thinking about food?
Oris asked.
Right now?
Training is better on a full stomach. Oris shook his head slowly. He did not know what to say. Later that night, in their small shared room, Yuna packed her bag for the gauntlet. She put in the cloth mask, a small umbrella, and a container of kimbap she had made in the kitchen. Kang watched her from his bed. You think we'll actually have time to eat? He asked.
We'll make time, Yuna said.
Nari was already asleep, still smiling even in her dreams. Kang lay back and closed his eyes. That bug lady really hates us.
She doesn't hate us, Yuna said.
She just doesn't know us yet. And when she does? Yuna finished packing. She looked at the ceiling and thought about tomorrow. The aliens thought humans were weak because they had no natural weapons. They were wrong. Humans had something better. They had patience. They had stubbornness. They had the ability to keep going when everything told them to stop.
When she knows us, Yuna said quietly, she'll understand.
Outside, Station Helix 9 turned slowly in the cold darkness of space. Inside, the humans slept peacefully while the rest of the cadets lay awake, terrified of what was coming. Tomorrow would be interesting. The drop pod hit the ground hard. Yuna rolled with the impact and came up standing. Around her, the desert stretched in every direction. The air was thick and hot. The sky was orange, and angry. Kang climbed out of his pod next to her. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked around.
Not bad, he said.
Reminds me of summer training in the mountains.
Nari landed nearby.
She was already smiling.
Oh, this is nice.
Like a sauna. Across the desert, other pods were landing. Aliens stumbled out and immediately started struggling. A group of tall, thin creatures with silver skin fell to their knees. Their bodies were shaking. A species with thick fur began panting so hard that one of them passed out. Yuna watched them quietly. The temperature was high, but not unbearable. For humans, at least. In the control tower far above the simulation, Instructor Velka stood with her arms crossed. Multiple screens showed different parts of the gauntlet. Her compound eyes moved from one screen to another, searching for the humans. She found them. They were walking. Just walking. Like they were taking a morning stroll. Increase environmental pressure in Sector 7, she ordered. A technician hesitated. Instructor, the current levels are already at, do it. The temperature in the desert rose. 50 degrees. Then 55. Aliens who were already struggling began collapsing. Emergency extraction beams pulled them out of the simulation, one by one. The sky above the gauntlet flickered with blue light each time someone gave up. Yuna noticed the heat increase. She removed her jacket and tied it around her waist. Then she kept walking. You okay? Kang asked. Fine. You? Could use some water. But fine. Behind them, Oris was struggling. His blue skin had turned a darker shade. His forearms hung loose at his sides. He was breathing in short, painful gasps. Yuna stopped and waited for him to catch up. Keep moving, she said. Don't stop. I cannot, Oris gasped. It is too hot. My body is failing. No, it's not. Your body thinks it's failing. There's a difference. Una took his arm and pulled him forward. One step, then another. Don't think about the heat. Think about the next step. Oris looked at her with tired eyes. But he kept walking. The simulation changed. The desert faded away, and suddenly they were standing in a swamp. The air was thick with green mist. The ground was soft and wet. The smell was terrible. Kong covered his nose. What is that? Acid mist, Nari said, reading a small device on her wrist. Low concentration. It'll burn your lungs if you breathe too much. All around them, aliens were coughing and choking. More blue lights appeared as cadets called for extraction. A group of insectoid creatures, similar to Velka, activated emergency shields that wrapped around their bodies like bubbles. They wouldn't last long. Una reached into her bag and pulled out a simple cloth mask. She had packed 3 of them. She gave one to Kang and one to Nari. Then she tore a piece of fabric from her jacket and handed it to Oris. Cover your mouth and nose, she said. Breathe slowly. Small breaths. This will work? Oris asked. It works on Earth when there's smoke or dust. It should work here. Oris wrapped the fabric around his face. It helped. Not completely, but enough. In the control tower, Velka was gripping the railing so hard that the metal was bending. The humans had been in the gauntlet for 3 hours. They were still moving. They weren't even struggling. How is this possible? She demanded. They have no protection. No special abilities. They should be dead. The technician checked the data nervously. Their bodies appear to be adapting. Their internal temperature regulation is extremely efficient. They're sweating to cool down. They're adjusting their breathing to filter the air. It's like their systems were built for hostile environments. Built for hostile environments, Velka repeated. She remembered what the file said about Earth. Class 4 Deathworld. She had dismissed it as exaggeration. Now she wasn't sure. Change the environment again, she ordered. Maximum difficulty. The swamp dissolved. Now the cadets stood on a rocky mountain. The gravity shifted, becoming heavier. The air became thin. Lightning cracked across the dark sky above. Most of the remaining aliens couldn't handle it. Extraction beams fired again and again. Soon, there were only a handful of cadets left. Most of them were hiding behind rocks, barely surviving. The 3 humans kept walking. Gravity feels strange, Nari said. Like wearing a heavy backpack. Earth's gravity is already high compared to most planets, Kang said. This is only a little worse. Una looked up at the sky. Lightning struck a rock nearby, sending pieces flying. She didn't flinch. We should find shelter before the storm gets worse. There's a cave ahead, Kang said, pointing. They moved toward it. Oris followed them, barely able to walk. His legs were shaking from the gravity. His lungs hurt from the thin air, but he refused to call for extraction. If the humans could survive, he wanted to try. They reached the cave and sat down inside. Rain began falling outside. Not water, but something that sizzled when it hit the rocks. Acid rain. Kang leaned against the wall and sighed. Well, this is interesting. I've seen worse, Una said. When? Basic training. Week 3. It rained for 5 days straight. We had to sleep in mud. Oris stared at her. Your military training includes such conditions? Korean military training includes lots of things, Una said. Cold, heat, mountains, mud, no sleep, bad food. They break you down and build you back up. Why would anyone agree to such treatment? Una smiled slightly. Because it makes you strong. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the humans rested calmly. Oris watched them with something new in his eyes. It wasn't confusion anymore. It was respect. In the control tower, Velka stared at the screen showing the cave. The humans were sitting there like they were waiting for a bus. One of them was even eating something from a small bag. Her mandibles clicked together in frustration. The gauntlet was designed to break species far stronger than humans. It had broken warriors from legendary planets. It had crushed soldiers with armor-plated skin and poison glands. But these soft, small creatures from a forgettable planet were treating it like a minor inconvenience. "Instructor," the technician said carefully. "The predator phase is next. Should I activate it?" Velka was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "Yes, release the hunters. Let us see how humans handle something that fights back." Deep in the simulation, the ground began to shake. Something was coming. Something big. Something hungry. Inside the cave, Una stopped eating and tilted her head. She heard it. Heavy footsteps. Many of them. She stood up and looked at Kong and Nari. They nodded. Finally, something interesting was about to happen. The creature burst through the trees like a nightmare given form. It stood on 6 thick legs. Its body was covered in scales the color of dried blood. Its mouth was filled with teeth as long as fingers. Yellow eyes burned with hunger. All across the simulation, similar beasts emerged. They were designed to hunt, designed to kill, designed to trigger the deep, ancient fear that lived in every living thing. The remaining alien cadets scattered. Screams filled the air. Blue extraction lights flashed everywhere as cadets gave up. Some didn't even wait to be attacked. They saw the creatures and immediately surrendered. Una stood at the mouth of the cave and watched the beast approach. It was moving slowly now, stunning her. Its nostrils flared as it sniffed the air. It was confused. It could not smell fear. "Kong," Una said calmly. "Take Oris and circle left. Nari, go right. I'll keep its attention." "You sure?" Kang asked. "I'm sure." The creature charged. It was fast, much faster than its size suggested. Its claws tore the ground as it ran. Its roar shook the air. Una didn't run. She waited, counted the steps, measured the distance. At the last possible moment, she stepped to the side. The creature flew past her, its claws cutting through empty air. Before it could turn, Una grabbed a fallen branch from the ground. It was thick and heavy, almost like a bat. The creature spun around and snarled. It wasn't used to prey that didn't run. It wasn't used to prey that fought back. Una swung the branch hard. It connected with the creature's eye cluster. The beast screamed and stumbled backward. Green blood leaked from the wound. "Sensitive eyes," Una noted. "Good to know." In the control tower, Velka leaned forward. Her compound eyes were fixed on the screen. The human female was fighting one of the most dangerous predators in the simulation. And she was winning. "Impossible," Velka whispered. On another screen, the human male named Kang was doing something strange. He gathered vines and rocks while the creature focused on Una. Now he was tying them together in a complicated pattern between 2 trees. What is he building? A technician asked. No one answered. They watched in silence. Kang finished his trap and stepped back. He picked up a rock and threw it at a second predator that had emerged from the jungle. The rock hit its nose. The creature roared and charged at him. Kang ran. He looked clumsy, like he was panicking. The creature gained on him quickly. Its mouth opened wide, ready to bite. Kang ducked under the vines and rolled to the side. The creature tried to follow, but its leg caught on the trap. The vines tightened. The counterweight, a heavy rock, swung down and yanked the creature off its feet. Suddenly, the monster was hanging upside down from a tree. Howling in confusion, Kang stood up and dusted off his clothes. "Works every time," he said. Nearby, Nari faced her own predator. But she didn't fight. She didn't run. She walked toward it slowly, her hands raised. "Hey there," she said softly. "Hey, it's okay. You're okay." The creature growled. It crouched low, ready to attack. But Nari kept walking. Her voice stayed calm and gentle. "I know you're confused. I know you're scared. But I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not afraid of you." The predator's eyes flickered. Something was wrong. Its entire hunting instinct was based on fear. Prey was supposed to run. Prey was supposed to scream. This small creature was doing neither. Nar. I reached out and touched its snout. The predator flinched. Then slowly it sat down. It whined like a confused puppy. "There you go," Nari said, scratching behind its ear. "Good boy. Good scary monster." In the control tower, complete silence. Every technician, every officer, every observer stared at the screens with their mouths open. One of them dropped their data tablet. No one noticed. Velka's mandibles clicked rapidly. This was not possible. These creatures were engineered to be unstoppable. They had killed cadets from warrior species. They had destroyed soldiers with decades of combat experience. And now a human female was petting one like it was a house animal. "Instructor," someone said quietly. "What do we do?" Velka didn't answer. She couldn't. For the first time in her long career, she had no words. Back in the simulation, Yuna finished off her predator. She hadn't killed it. The simulation wouldn't allow actual death, but she had beaten it so badly that it limped away, whimpering. She tossed aside the broken branch and wiped her hands. Horus emerged from behind a rock. His forearms were shaking. His 3 eyes were wide with disbelief. You fought it," he stammered. "With a stick. You fought a Class 7 apex predator with a stick." "It was a good stick," Yuna said. Khan walked over, leaving his trapped predator still hanging from the tree. "I think that's all of them," he said. "At least in this area." Nari joined them. Her predator followed her like a lost dog. She had named it Bomi. "Can I keep it?" she asked. "No," Yuna said. "Please?" "No." Ars sat down on a rock. His mind was trying to process what he had just witnessed. 3 humans. No weapons except what they found on the ground. No armor, no special powers. And they had defeated creatures that were designed to be unbeatable. How? He asked weakly. "How did you do this?" Yuna thought for a moment. "On Earth, humans hunted animals much bigger than us. We didn't have claws or fangs. We had brains. We learned to make traps. We learned to use tools. We learned to work together. And most importantly, we learned that fear is a choice." "Fear is a choice?" Horus repeated. "Fear is useful," Yuna explained. "It keeps you alert. It keeps you alive. But if you let it control you, you die. So we learn to use fear instead of being used by it." Kang nodded. "Also, Korean military training includes fighting guys bigger than you. Lots of times. You get used to it." Horus looked at the humans with new eyes. He had thought they were weak. Everyone had thought they were weak. Soft skin, no natural weapons, small bodies. But none of that mattered. Their true strength wasn't physical. It was mental. They simply refused to be afraid. The simulation shifted again. The jungle faded. Now they stood in an open field under a strange purple sky. The ground was rocky and uneven. In the distance, mountains rose toward the clouds. "The final zone," Horus said. "We're almost at the extraction point." Yuna nodded. She checked her bag. The kimbap was still there. The thermos was still full. "Good," she said. "I'm getting hungry." Kang laughed. "You're thinking about lunch? Now? We've been walking for hours." Of course, I'm thinking about lunch. They started moving toward the extraction point. Behind them, Nari's predator whined sadly. She blew it a kiss. Bye, Bomi. Be a good monster. In the control tower, Volka watched them go. Her body was stiff with tension. Her mind was racing. Everything she believed about humans was wrong. Everything the galaxy believed about humans was wrong. They weren't weak. They were something else entirely. Something the galaxy had never seen before. And they were about to have lunch in the middle of a death simulation. Volka made a decision. If the gauntlet couldn't break them, she would break them herself. She turned and walked toward the exit. Instructor? A technician called. Where are you going? To meet the humans personally, Volka said. Prepare my entry pod. The technician paled. Instructors never entered the simulation. It was against protocol. It was dangerous, but Volka didn't care about protocol anymore. She needed to understand. She needed to see these creatures up close. She needed to know how soft little humans from a forgotten planet could do the impossible. She would get her answers, one way or another. Yuna found a flat rock near a small stream. It was a good spot, quiet, relatively safe. Perfect for lunch. She sat down and opened her bag. Inside was the container of kimbap she had made the night before. Rice, vegetables, and meat wrapped in seaweed. Simple food. Good food. She also had a thermos of barley tea, still warm. Kang sat beside her and pulled out his own supplies. Vacuum-sealed rice cakes. Some dried fruit. A small bag of nuts. Nar, I brought fresh apples. She had found them in the academy kitchen and thought they might be nice for the trip. She was right. Around them. The simulation continued trying to kill them. Warning sirens echoed across the landscape. Red lights flashed in the sky. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled. Yun took a bite of kimbap. This turned out well, she said. Can I try some? Kang asked. Get your own. Come on. Just one piece. Yuna sighed and handed him a roll. Kang ate it in 2 bites and nodded approvingly. In the control tower, every single person was frozen. The screen showed the 3 humans having a picnic. A picnic. In the most dangerous zone of the most difficult military training simulation in the galaxy, one technician started laughing. He couldn't help it. The situation was too absurd. Another technician joined in. Soon, half the control room was laughing or crying or both. They're eating, someone said in disbelief. They're actually eating. The main screen showed Yuna pouring tea from her thermos into a small cup. She sipped it calmly while environmental alarms screamed around her. Volka's entry pod landed nearby, but the humans didn't notice yet. Or maybe they noticed and didn't care. Oris stumbled toward the humans. He had barely survived the journey through the final zone. His body was covered in small cuts and bruises. His forearms hung limp with exhaustion. He collapsed near the flat rock and lay there, breathing hard. Nari walked over to him with an apple. Here, you should eat something. Oris looked at the apple. He looked at the humans. He looked at the chaos around them. We are in the middle of a death simulation, he said weakly. Yes, the environment is at maximum lethality. Yes, and you want me to eat an apple. Nari smiled. Apples are good for you. Oris took the apple. He didn't understand anymore. He had stopped trying to understand. He just took a bite and chewed slowly. The sky turned dark. Clouds gathered overhead, thick and angry. The first drops of acid rain began to fall. They sizzled when they hit the rocks. Yuna reached into her bag and pulled out the small umbrella. She opened it and held it over her head. Kang moved closer to share the umbrella. Nari joined them. Oris crawled over and squeezed under it too. The 4 of them sat together, sharing an umbrella in the acid rain, eating lunch. This is nice, Nari said. It's not bad, Yuna agreed. The acid rain fell harder. It burned holes in the ground around them. The air filled with the smell of chemicals. A nearby tree dissolved. Yuna finished her kimbap and started on the rice cakes. Kang offered her some dried fruit. She accepted. In the control tower, several technicians had stopped watching the screens. They couldn't handle it anymore. One of them was lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling. They're not real, he muttered. They can't be real. Instructor Velka's voice crackled over the communication system. Control, activate the final phase. The remaining technicians looked at each other nervously. Instructor, one of them said, the final phase combines gravitational flux with electrical storms. It's extremely dangerous. You're down there. I know where I am. Activate it. The technician hesitated. Then he pressed the button. The ground began to shake. The gravity started shifting, pulling first one way, then another. It felt like being on a ship in a storm. Rocks lifted off the ground and floated briefly before crashing down. The sky split open with lightning. Kang lost his balance and fell sideways. He caught himself on a rock and pulled himself back up. Okay, he said. That's new. Nari grabbed a tree root to steady herself. Oris wrapped all four arms around a boulder. Yuna stayed seated. She bent her knees and adjusted her center of gravity, riding the shifts like waves. She continued eating. Lightning struck nearby. The flash was blinding. The sound was deafening. Rocks exploded into dust. Yuna didn't flinch. Korean summers have worse storms, she muttered. You keep saying that, Kang said, struggling to stand. But I don't remember storms like this. You grew up in Bizen. You wouldn't know. Another lightning strike, closer this time. The electricity arced across the ground, leaving scorch marks everywhere. Oris screamed and hugged his boulder tighter. Yuna finished her tea. She put the empty thermos back in her bag and stood up slowly, adjusting to the shifting gravity. We should keep moving, she said. The extraction point isn't far. Through this? Oris asked, looking at the chaos around them. Through this. Nari helped Oris to his feet. Kang tested the gravity shifts and found a rhythm to them. Yuna led the way, walking steadily through the storm. Lightning struck a rock 3 meters to her left. She turned her head slightly to look at it, then kept walking. The gravity shifted hard. Everyone stumbled. Yuna planted her feet and stayed upright. She helped Oris when he fell. She caught Nari when she tripped. She kept the group moving forward. In the distance, they could see the extraction point, a glowing platform surrounded by safety barriers. Other cadets had already reached it. Very few, maybe 10 or 15 out of the hundreds who started, but between them and the platform stood Velka. The instructor had removed her formal armor. Now she wore only her natural chitin shell, black and gleaming. She stood in the storm like she was born in it. Lightning reflected in her compound eyes. Yuna stopped walking. The others stopped behind her. Instructor, Yuna said calmly. Is something wrong? Velka stepped forward. Her movements were smooth and dangerous. I have watched you all day, human. I have seen you do the impossible. I have seen you ignore conditions that kill stronger species. I have seen you eat lunch in the middle of a death simulation. The kimbap was good, Yuna said. I don't care about your food. Velka's voice was cold and angry. I care about understanding. How? How do you survive? How do you ignore pain and fear and danger? What are you? Yuna looked at her for a long moment. The storm raged around them. Lightning crashed. The ground shook. But both of them stood perfectly still. We're human, Yuna said simply. That's all. That is not enough. That explains nothing. It explains everything. Velka's mandibles clicked together. Her body tensed. I have killed in combat human. I have broken warriors from legendary worlds. I will have my answers. Yuna set down her bag. She rolled her shoulders slowly and took a breath. Okay, she said. Then come get them. Velka attacked first. She was fast. Faster than the predators. Faster than anything Yuna had ever faced. One moment she was standing still. The next she was flying through the air, claws extended, aimed at Yuna's throat. But Yuna wasn't there anymore. She had already moved, stepping to the side, letting Velka's momentum carry her past. As the instructor flew by, Yuna struck her in the back of the knee. Velka stumbled but recovered quickly. Interesting, Velka said. You anticipated my attack. Your body tensed before you moved, Yuna explained. It's a tell. Everyone has one. Velka attacked again. This time she was more careful. She didn't charge blindly. She tested Yuna with quick strikes, looking for weaknesses. Yuna blocked some attacks and dodged others. She didn't try to match Velka's strength. That would be stupid. Velka was twice her size and covered in natural armor. A direct fight would be suicide. Instead, Yuna used angles. When Velka punched left, Yuna moved right. When Velka kicked low, Yuna jumped back. She stayed just out of reach, making Velka work for every attack. Kong watched from the side. His eyes followed every movement. Classic persistent strategy, he said to Nari. Don't fight strength with strength. Make them tired. Make them frustrated. Then strike. Will it work? Nari asked. It always works. Eventually. Velka was getting angry. Her attacks became faster but sloppier. She was using too much energy. Her breathing was getting heavy. Her movements were losing precision. Yuna saw it. Waited for it. Counted the seconds. Velka lunged with a powerful overhead strike. All her weight behind it. All her strength. If it connected, it would kill God. It didn't connect. Yun stepped inside the attack. Too close for Velka to adjust. She grabbed Velka's arm and pulled. At the same time, she hooked her leg behind Velka's knee. Physics did the rest. Velka's own momentum and weight worked against her. The instructor crashed to the ground. Before she could rise, Yuna was on her. She twisted Velka's arm behind her back and pressed her knee against Velka's spine. A classic submission hold. Velka struggled. She was still stronger. She tried to push up, to throw Yuna off. But every time she moved, Yuna adjusted. Every push was redirected. Every twist was countered. Stop, Yuna said quietly. It's over. It is not over, Velka snarled. I can still fight. You can. But you'll hurt yourself. And you'll still lose. Yuna's voice was calm. Not mocking. Not angry. Just honest. You're stronger than me. Faster than me. But you've been fighting hard for the last 10 minutes. Your muscles are burning. Your breathing is rough. Your heart is working too hard. In 2 more minutes, you'll make a mistake that gets you seriously injured. Velka stopped struggling. She lay on the ground, breathing hard. Yuna was right. She could feel her body failing. The exhaustion was real. How? Velka whispered. How do you know these things? Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke, still holding Velka in place. On Earth, we were never the strongest. Never the fastest. We didn't have claws or venom or armor. Lions were stronger. Wolves were faster. Snakes had poison. We had nothing. She paused. Lightning struck nearby. Neither of them flinched. But we had one thing that nothing else had. We never stopped. When a lion caught our ancestor, the others kept going. When disease killed half of us, the survivors kept going. When ice covered the world and food disappeared, we kept going. For 200,000 years, everything on our planet tried to kill us. And we are still here. Velka's compound eyes shifted, looking at Yuna's face. We call it persistence hunting, Yuna continued. On Earth, humans used to chase animals for hours. Days sometimes. The animal would be faster at first. But humans didn't stop. We walked when the animal ran. We ate and drank while moving. Eventually, the animal was too tired to run. Then we caught it. Not because we were stronger. Because we refused to give up. Yuna released Velka's arm and stood up. She offered her hand. Velka looked at the hand for a long moment. Her pride told her to reject it. Her instincts told her to attack again. But something else, something new, told her to accept. She took the hand. Yuna helped her up. They stood facing each other in the storm. Lightning crashed around them. The ground still shook with gravitational shifts. But neither of them cared about that anymore. I was wrong about your species, Velka said slowly. The words seemed difficult for her. I called you soft. I called you weak. I said you were food. You did. I was wrong. Velka straightened to her full height. Her voice became formal. Humans are not prey. They are something else. Something the galaxy has not seen before. Yuna nodded. Thank you for understanding. Velka turned and looked at Kang and Nari. At Aris, who was still holding onto a rock for support. At the extraction point glowing in the distance. The simulation is over, Velka said. You have passed. All of you. The storm began to fade. The gravity returned to normal. The clouds disappeared, revealing a calm purple sky. The death simulation became just an empty field. Other cadets who had reached the extraction point came forward slowly. They had watched the fight. They had heard Yuna's words. They looked at the humans with new eyes. Aris walked over to stand beside Yuna. His body was still shaking. But there was something new in his posture. Pride. I want to train with them, he said to Velka. I want to learn what they know. Velka looked at him. Then she looked at the other cadets watching. Many of them were nodding. Perhaps, Velka said slowly, we all have something to learn. 3 weeks later, life at the academy had changed. The humans were no longer ignored or pitied. They were respected. Some cadets wanted to train with them. Others asked questions about Earth, about human history, about persistence hunting. Yuna taught a weekly class on endurance techniques. Kang showed engineers how to build simple traps. Nari trained medics in field care and staying calm under pressure. And Velka? She sat in a different classroom now. Not as an instructor. As a student, she had requested a transfer. Her new assignment was to study human psychology, human evolution, and human survival strategies. She wanted to understand. Truly understand. On her desk was a small container. Inside was kimbap, made by Yuna, a gift. A peace offering. Maybe the beginning of a friendship. Velka picked up a piece and took a bite. It was strange. The seaweed was chewy. The rice was sticky. The vegetables were crunchy. It was good. She ate another piece. Then another. By the time the class started, the container was empty. Later that day, the Galactic Coalition quietly updated its official species classification files. Under the entry for humans, a new note was added. It wasn't long, just a few words. But everyone who read it understood what it meant. The note said, do not underestimate. They eat lunch in hell and ask for seconds. Somewhere in the academy, Yuna Park was making more kimbap. Tomorrow was another training day. Another chance to show the galaxy what humans could do. She smiled slightly as she rolled the rice and vegetables in seaweed. It was good to be human. And the galaxy was finally starting to understand why.